welcome back. It's your girl Shameless Charlie, and I'm back at it again with another video. I know it's been a while since I've last uploaded. Sometimes, life hits you like a ton of bricks and you need to just humble yourself and get your life. So that's pretty much what I had to do. And as I was going through like my videos and stuff, trying to figure out what I wanted to film next, I realized that I told you guys how to, start saving money and stuff, but I never told y'all how to get a motherfucking job. So what I'm going to do is, if you know me, you know that I go on a lot of interviews and most of the time I end up landing them. So I know that sometimes for people it's maybe of an awkward experience and they don't know exactly what to do or how to go about getting a job and stuff. So I'm just going to go through some tips as I get ready myself. I'm not getting ready for an interview, but I am getting ready to step outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just walk y'all through a couple tips that, I feel have helped me to land the job. So first things first, you want to make sure that the job you're applying for is a job that you're qualified for. I realize that a lot of times we may apply for jobs because, we want the job and stuff. And I mean, that's great and all, but you need to make sure that you're qualified for the job. Don't be applying for a job that asks for college education and you don't have any college education. It's pretty much apparent that you're not going to get the job. I mean, that's kind of obvious. Apply for a job that you're qualified for and that you have the qualifications for. So that's first things first. Find a job that you find a job, you fix your resume. And another thing with resumes as well too, employers spend maybe 20 seconds looking at your resume. No word of a lie. Like they literally scroll through it, scroll up. And with online applications nowadays, it's pretty much done even by a computer. So it's even less personal. So it's literally a computer that's scanning through words, and pretty much that's what it is. The computer scans through words and looks for particular words and particular resumes. So say they're looking for a server and they're looking for a server that's really like interpersonal and that connects with people and that kind of stuff. They're going to be looking for words like that on the resume. So words that you put in your resume are key as well too. Usually it's your name, your address, your email address, your phone number that you can be reached at. Make sure that it's a number that is valid. That's not a number that, is going to get shut down all the time because you were never going to get a job. And then right underneath is characteristics. Make sure that you put characteristics that, you can abide by and stuff. And like, make sure that they're characteristics that if you feel one particular job is looking for those characteristics, then, that's going to show apparent on there. So then after you find a job that is interpersonal and that is a job that you want to apply to, you fixed your resume, do your research on the company. There is nothing more than I think an employer hates is when they're doing an interview and the person does not know what their role is, they don't know what the responsibilities are, or none of that. I understand, sometimes when you're applying for jobs, you're just applying to apply and you're kind of it's kind of like, dating girls and guys dating girls or vice versa, you're just shooting your shot. But with these resumes, you want to make sure, of course, it's your professional career or whatever, and you want to make sure that you know what you're going to be doing. Because they're going to be asking you, or they're going to be like, oh, why do you think you're going to be good in this role? If you don't know what the role entails, then how are you going to explain to them that you're the right fit or you're the right candidate for this role? You're not going to be able to because you don't know what you're doing. So that's another thing as well too. Look up the company, make sure you know what the company is about, make sure that of course, the company isn't going to share everything online about their secrets and stuff, but make sure that what you're getting yourself into, what the role entails, and what your duties are going to be, and if those are duties that, again, you're going to be able to fulfill. Next things next, when you're going for your interview, it's always a good look to have a copy of your resume. This shows the employer that you're ready to work, you're ready to get down to business, because maybe the employer was doing interviews all day and they didn't have time to either print your resume. It's nothing personal, it's just they didn't have time to print your resume. So you going in there, having your resume, you're ready, you're on deck, they're gonna be like, okay, like, you know, she's ready to put in work. So that's another thing too that, you know, you want to make sure that you have. And then another thing too is when you're going for your interview, make sure that your resumes are stapled on the left hand corner, obviously not in the middle, not on the right. It just shows that you're organized, you're ready to go. As well to bring a pen, you know, that as well too. You want to make sure that you're ready, because in case sometimes what employers will do is, although you've already applied online and that kind of stuff, they may ask you to fill up additional paperwork while you get there. So you want to make sure that, you know, you're ready and you're A1 to go. So that's another thing as well too. Have a pen and stuff like that ready, so when you get there, you're already ready and set, you know? So that's another thing as well too that they may look at that maybe, you know, you weren't aware of. Another thing as well too is go in there with an attitude that you're gonna get the job. Every single time I've gone to an interview or any of that sort, I've always gone in with the attitude, okay, I know I'm gonna get the job, I know that this is gonna go good, and it usually goes well for me. So I know obviously sometimes interviews are a little bit nervous because you really want the job, you don't know what's right to say. Don't try to rehearse what you're gonna say too much, because then it's gonna look like, you know, like you were like rehearsing it and it's not natural, you know what I mean? When you're going for an interview, that is your time to wow the company. That is your time to give them your story, you know what I mean? Because when they're looking at resumes, they're getting a bunch of resumes, they're just getting qualifications, they're getting all these stuff or whatever, they're not really getting to know who you are. So you want to make sure that while you're going in there, you're showing them who you are. You don't want to rehearse it too much where you're telling them, oh yeah, I'm this, I'm that, you know what I mean? Like you want to go in there like most natural that you pretty much can. You want to go in there pretty much being yourself. As well too, I understand that sometimes it gets a little awkward. The employer asks you all these questions and then after that you're just like, oh, like, you know, and then they're like, they hit you with that, so what questions do you have for me? And you're sitting there like, fuck, what questions can I ask? So a question that three questions that I usually always ask, I always stick to, it doesn't matter what job interview I'm going for, so I know it's going to work for any one of interview that you guys go to, is one, I ask them how long the person interviewing me has been in the company. So that shows them that, you know, you have some type of interest in as well the company and the longevity of the person, and it shows that, you know, you're engaging and stuff. So I always ask how long they've been in the company. Another thing I also ask is so in every single job there's always a way for you to excel, for you to be like the top person in like whatever you're doing. So say like for instance you're going for a sales job. So for sales jobs, most sales jobs of course have quotas. So those quotas, those are what you're supposed to hit as your target in order to be the best of the best. So what I always do is I ask the question, how or what metrics do you guys use to assess your employees? Now this question is key. Like whenever I ask this question, I feel like employers look at me and their eyes light up. That question shows that you're not in it just to be in it, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna be in the company for a while, and for that, like employers love those type of questions, because when you really think about it, it takes time for the employer to, you know, to hire, to conduct interviews and all that kind of stuff. So they're not looking for someone, even though you may know that, yo, in a couple of months times I'm gonna be offing it, I'm gonna be leaving. Don't tell them that. Like that's rule number one. Don't tell them and be like, oh yeah, like, you know, I'm gonna be leaving and blah blah. No. Always make it seem as though, even though it's a temporary position for you or it's something you're not gonna be keeping for a very long time, always make sure that you make it seem like you're gonna be there for a long time. Like, and that question asking you know, like quotas and stuff like that, that just again goes to show that you're interested in the company and you're invested, you're looking for long term and that kind of stuff. as well. So that's something that's like very important to ask, because you want them to obviously, again, whether you're staying or not, you want them to see that you're serious and that you're committed to the role. Another thing as well too, punctuality. For your interview, I always try to get there 15 minutes before. And when I say try to get there, I mean in the office, I've already signed in either with the secretary or I've already done whatever I needed to do. I always try to get there 15 minutes before, because you never know, you may get lost. The directions that they may have given you to go to your interview may differ from where you're actually going. So that is another like key. Like, try to get there as early as you can. Don't try to get there like late and stuff, because obviously, again, like, that's reflecting on you. And if you're late for your interview, then they're gonna think, okay, like, this person is obviously going to be late for like everything else as well. So always make sure to get there on time or whatever, so that they see that you're committed as again to the role and all that kind of stuff. But that's pretty much like, I think those are pretty much like my like tips on getting a job. Pretty much like, just make sure that you're watching the qualifications, because of that's one thing that I used to do even when I was younger. Like, I would always, what's it called, apply for these jobs and I would never hear back and I would get so discouraged. But then when I really think about it, when I was applying, I was just applying because I needed a job. Like, I was just applying. I wasn't really applying and looking at what the qualifications were. And I'm sure if I had looked at the qualifications and I had thought, okay, like, let me look, then I would have most definitely like gotten some of the jobs. But because I was so greedy, I just wanted to apply. So that's another thing too. But as well too, this is like the second time that I'm using the Anastasia Contour Palette Cream Kit in Deep. And to be quite honest, it's relatively good. I won't lie to you. I feel like it gives me ultimate coverage. I feel like it does what it has to do. But then again, I'm not too big on makeup. So like, other makeup artists could be like, oh, it doesn't even do it, and it doesn't do this. But I'm just like, bitch, it does what it has to do for me. So but yeah, that's pretty much it. Just go in there, be confident, be sure of yourself. And another thing as well too, don't bash your ex-employer. Don't do that. Like, I know that, okay, well, if you haven't watched my story, there's a story time that I do of how I quit McDonald's, and that's when I was 16. But if never ever bash your ex-employer. It makes you look really bad and stuff, and it's just not a good look. Like, whenever employers ask me like, why did you leave your last job, or why did you do this, I always try to come up with a valid response. Like, okay, so say for instance, my last job, I left because me and my manager weren't getting along. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, I left because me and my manager weren't getting along. No, what I'm going to say is I'm going to be like, because of where I'm going in life, or because of where I see myself in 5 years, that is not a company I believe would help me grow. And this is why I believe that this company would help me grow in a better way. That's what I would say. You never want to bash your ex-employer. I mean, you want to be honest as well too. Like, if you got fired because of something, you want to be honest with your new employer, because newsflash, when they get a record of employment, they can see why you got fired, and they can also call your other employer. You don't want to lie, because that hinders your credibility. But yeah, you don't want to lie either, because that hinders, like I said, your credibility. You don't want them to feel like you're shady. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be honest, but you don't want to be too honest either. You don't want to be like telling all your secrets and stuff on the first interview, child, you know? So, I mean, that's pretty much it. You just need to keep to those tips. Make sure that you're applying to jobs that you know that you're gonna be end up getting and stuff. because you don't want to be applying for jobs and not hearing back because you didn't qualify or this or that. Like, that would really suck. And fixing up your resume, oh my god, your resume is key. Like, it is key. Like, your resume is pretty much what employers are going to be looking at. If you can, if you know the address of the company and stuff, what another thing that I do as well too is sometimes I will actually personally go in and drop off my resume. So that's something that you can do as well too, because then it puts a face to the resume. Because imagine, a lot of these companies are getting swamped with resumes per day. So you want to make sure that they know who you are. So that's one thing that you can do as well too. You can go in and if you can, drop off your resume, because that will make them remember you, remember who you are. But I'm gonna finish getting ready. My baby hairs are fleeky. Shout out to my hairdresser. I know the back looks wild because I just need to comb it, but that's pretty much it. And those are my tips on how to land that interview. So remember, be confident, be honest, not too honest because you don't want to be beating out your own steam. But that's pretty much it. I'm gonna finish getting ready and I'm going to go out, probably vlog, I'm not quite sure. But thank you so much, and I just want to say a big shout out to my 100 subscribers. Well, I have 125, but who's counting? But I just want to say thank you, because honestly, when I first started this channel, I was a little bit weary and I didn't really know what to do or what I was going to really talk about. But the fact that I have 100 of you guys really fucking with me and really following me means really a lot to me, because I didn't anticipate to get this good of a response in such a short period of time. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the flip side.